Today we're going to talk about kids' foods and the problems they can cause if they contain a lot of FODMAPs. I'm Betsy Yelmgren, registered dietitian and pediatric nutrition consultant. It's thought that up to 75% of IBS symptoms are related to food sensitivities. And with kids, often it is due to junky diets like kid foods, things that are very processed, foods that are not in their natural form anymore. For example, chicken nuggets, processed breads, processed cookies and snacks and things like that can often cause IBS symptoms because of some of the FODMAPs they contain. It's very common for kids to have digestive issues. In my practice, I see a wide range of kids, anywhere from toddlers all the way up through grade school, middle school, and high school. And these kids come to me with digestive complaints such as diarrhea, abdominal cramping, constipation, all kinds of things, even reflux. And what typically happens is that they've been to GI doctors and they have had endoscopies and blood work and really not come back with any diagnosis. So in the end, they get lumped into this diagnosis of exclusion that we call Irritable Bowel Syndrome, or IBS. With little kids, like toddler age and preschool age, often we see a lot of diarrhea or abdominal cramping and loose stools. Sometimes it's been labeled as toddler's diarrhea, but this is related to IBS. With my older kids, sometimes they have diarrhea, but sometimes they have constipation. Sometimes it's alternating diarrhea and constipation, and it can come along with a lot of cramping and pain and discomfort, and it's some embarrassing stuff. I hear kids tell me things like, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed when I'm sitting in the classroom and I can hear my stomach rumbling, or I feel like I have to pass some gas and I'm trying to hold it in, or I have to ask to be excused from a situation to go and use the bathroom. It's terrible." And then I get parents who are concerned because their child's spending so much time visiting the nurse at school or missing entire days of school because they're not feeling well because of stomach issues that really don't have a diagnosis and seem to kind of come and go. A lot of times when kids are having abdominal pain or constipation or diarrhea, they begin to associate it with food, because when you eat food and your stomach distends, that's when you start to feel some of these symptoms. So sometimes these kids on their own start eliminating foods. Maybe they are suspecting that some particular food has caused a problem from certain experiences, so they might start eliminating that food. Or sometimes on the other hand, we get kids who are just kind of nervous or anxious to eat anything at all and get very full because they know that fullness might trigger their symptoms. So a lot of times this can lead to some nutritional problems if a child is avoiding certain foods or if they're limiting their volume of food because they may not be getting all the nutrients they need for longer term growth and development. So in a large number of kids, these IBS symptoms can be blamed upon poor diet or poor balanced diet. So when you go to a restaurant, often the first thing they do is ask if you'd like a children's menu. And what kind of things are typically on there? Processed things like chicken nuggets, grilled cheese sandwiches, pizzas, peanut butter and jelly, usually hamburgers, macaroni and cheese. Usually the side dishes are starch, and more starch, such as French fries or potato chips. These products are usually in some form of bread, and they don't always contain a lot of nutritional value. Why are all of these kid foods causing IBS symptoms? They all contain FODMAPs. FODMAPs are fermentable carbohydrates, and they're found in a lot of foods that kids eat. There's 5 general categories of FODMAPs carbs. Lactose, which is found in milk. It's the natural sugar of milk, so it would also be in yogurt and ice cream and certain dairy products. Fructose, which is fruit sugar, that occurs naturally in fruits, naturally in juices, but it's also used in the food industry as high fructose corn syrup, which is a sweetener. Polyols are sugar alcohols. They occur naturally in certain fruits and vegetables. They're also found in sugar-free gums and sugar-free candies. Galactans, this is beans and legumes, so anything that would fall into that family, including soy. And the last polyol group is fructan. And fructan is a starch, and it comes largely from wheat, but also from other vegetables like broccoli and onion. And fructans, since they come from wheat, tend to be really prevalent in a lot of kid foods because in my experience, lots of kids tend to like lots of carbohydrates. All of these carbohydrates that I've been talking about are fermentable. Fermentation is the process of breaking down carbohydrates, and during that process, we release carbon dioxide, but also short-chain sugars. And the carbon dioxide is a gas, like the bubbles of a soda. and that can cause some belching, that can cause gassiness, it causes some distension and abdominal cramping. These short-chain sugars then can pull water into the intestines, and that can cause diarrhea as the body works to flush that out, or alternately, it can get stuck in there and we can get some constipation or alternating constipation and diarrhea as a result of the fermentable carbohydrates. So in the kid foods we've been talking about, there's lots of FODMAPs. Chicken nuggets, for example, they have a breading on them. The breading's made from wheat, that would be high in fructans. Other things high in fructans would be anything bread, like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich contains bread. It also has jelly, which might be fructose, or a grilled cheese sandwich has bread, which is a fructan. It also has cheese, which might be lactose. Pasta is a fructan because that's from wheat, and that mac and cheese and spaghetti, those can have other FODMAPs too. If you put cheese sauce on them, they'll have lactose. If you put a marinara on them, then they have fructose. Pizza is a combo food. We have bread for the crust, that's a fructan. We have tomato for the sauce, that's fructose. We have cheese on top, that's lactose. So pizza can be a really tough food for kids who have fermentable carbohydrate sensitivities and IBS because it hits 3 families at once. No wonder kids are getting all these IBS symptoms when they're eating all these FODMAP-rich foods. If your child has been suffering these IBS symptoms and you're looking for a solution, there are some options. I recommend a low FODMAPs diet. When we do this, we start eating foods that don't have as many high FODMAPs in them, and this gives the child's stomach some time to calm down and see, was it really the high FODMAP foods that were triggering the symptoms? Once you take them out of the diet, the child should feel better after a short amount of time, and then that's a good indication that maybe they are sensitive to FODMAP foods. Give them some time to heal and calm down, and that gives us an opportunity to know really what's going on. If your kid's suffering from IBS, we want to hear more about that. Why don't you share with us in the comments below foods that bother your child or questions you've had about foods your child's eating?